Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, and I wanted to make a couple very important announcements today and give you guys a heads up on something that's coming midweek this week. We're going to be bringing the Pathfinder Knife Shop and all of our cutting tools back to Self-Reliance Outfitters. We had moved all of that stuff to a new website called the Pathfinder Knife Shop. The reason that we did that was because we were having problems advertising on places like Instagram and Facebook because we were selling something they considered to be weapons, although we all know they're tools, right? So we moved everything to that new website and it was fine. The problem with it is it doesn't give us the opportunity to give back to our customers the same way it did on selfrelianceoutfitters.com. And the reason for that is we couldn't transfer the points, reward points, from one website to the other. So if you bought something on the Pathfinder Knife Shop site, although you accrued reward points for that, you couldn't spend those points on the SRO site because there wasn't a software that would transfer that back and forth automatically. So you were kind of stuck to, if you have points on Self-Reliance Outfitters, you can't buy a knife. If you bought a knife over here and you got reward points for that, you can't buy a bush pot with those reward points. And it was kind of a pain in the butt. And we realized that, and we want our customers to have the best experience they can possibly have from our website. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. Two big things. Number one, we're going to move all of that stuff back to selfrelianceoutfitters.com. And the second thing is any points that you have accrued from the Pathfinder Knife Shop site will be transferred over in bulk to Self-Reliance Outfitters. So that going forward, not only will you be able to spend those reward points that you've already accumulated, you will also be able to accumulate points on Self-Reliance Outfitters for any knives that you buy in the future, any other products that you buy in the future, and spend those reward points across the site instead of having to go to one site or the other and then possibly have to pay two different shipping rates. And that was a problem too. You bought one thing here and one thing here. It was two different shipping invoices. Complete pain in the butt. However, it was what we had to do to test the market for advertising, and we don't think it did us any greater justice to be able to advertise on those two platforms than it did injustice to our customers as far as their experience with the websites go. And our motto has always been customer service is our number one priority. That's why most of our logoed products, if not all, are guaranteed for life. That's why we develop the products we develop, and that's why we do the things we do. I want our customer service experience to be the best it can possibly be. We've recently updated a lot of things on our website, and unfortunately, about the same time we did that, we had to also move the knives to see if that was going to affect our ability to advertise on Facebook and Instagram. Again, the payoff was not worth the problems that it caused for our customers, and that's our main concern, so we're moving that stuff back. Now, with that, there's going to be a couple special things that are going to happen. First of all, again, those points are going to transfer. So the points you've accrued on the Pathfinder Knife Shop site will move over to SRO when we move everything back, all right? That'll be a one-time deal. You get all those points back and you can spend them any way you want to. The next thing is all Pathfinder Knife Shop knives, except the one I'm about to show you today, are going to be 20% off. We're going to have a 20% off sale, like a moving sale, as we move our stuff back over on PKS only. That 20% off will not count for other knife brands that we carry, only PKS, okay? Then we're going to launch a new knife. And this knife is one that I've been playing with for a while. I've had the prototype for quite a while. Actually, the prototype was made here at Pathfinder Forge and Tool, sent to Pathfinder Knife Shop for design work and production work, and it is now being manufactured at Pathfinder Knife Shop. And it is the Carnivore, okay? And you can look at this, and you can see that it has a very Pathfinder-esque blade profile from the Pathfinder knife, and the handle from a cut part that gives you that guard right there so that you don't slide up on the blade if you're pushing this through something. And I think that the combination of those two with that broom handle design on the cut part, with that stop right there, and the fact that you also have this butcher-esque profile with this drop point here and a nice belly design, I think makes this a very, very good knife for skinning, game processing, all-around good camp knife. So this knife will be released in the quantity that we have on hand when we switch the knife shop over, and I believe that's going to be Wednesday of this coming week, probably at 1 o'clock, like we generally do everything else, releases at 1 o'clock. That gives us a chance to get emails together, ads together, and all those things for the website pre-launch, okay? Now, what I want to talk to you about at the end of this video is I want to kind of brag on my knife shop guys a little bit, because the guys who work at the Pathfinder Knife Shop have been there for several years. They're very professional in what they do. And again, that's why our knives are guaranteed for life. The process for making these knives is material reduction. 95% of all knives out there today that are made by companies of any size whatsoever, from Essie to Battle Horse to Pathfinder Knife Shop to Tops, all of those knife brands, LT Wright, probably K-Bar, all of those knife brands are made the same way. They're made from material reduction. How much of that material reduction is done by hand and by machine depends on the company. So what happens with us is our steel comes in and it's cut not on a CNC. The blanks are cut by water jet, okay? Once we cut those knives out from the water jet, they come to our shop for straightening and processing. Every grind that's put on our knives, every piece of labor that's put into our knives beyond that water jet process is done by hand with machines like grinders, with jigs that are purpose built to give you an exact grind angle on both sides of the knife. And it takes there's a little learning curve to getting that right. But the reason for all that stuff is, the reason you jig things, the reason machine shops build jigs to begin with, is so that you have repeatability and reproducibility. And that's really what having jigs in a process does for you when you're talking about hand machining things, is it allows you to have repeatability over and over again on different knives, and reproducibility where other people can come in and learn that job and do it exactly the same way. And that's part of quality manufacturing that you don't get if every knife is made completely off the hand on a grinder. They're never going to be two of them are exactly alike, because without that jigging process, you don't have that. When you're making production level knives and you're selling, 10, 12, 14, 20, sometimes 40 knives a day, you have to have that type of repeatability in your process to make sure that everybody gets the knife they order, so that when they look at a knife on the website, it looks exactly like the knife that they get in their hand. The only difference may be the wood grain patterns and things like that, which we can't control. I appreciate you joining me for this video today, and I thank you for everything you do for our school and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.